Hello. Hi everyone.
Hi everyone.
Thanks for joining us. Give us a minute as we uh, get the stuff sorted out and set up. Uh, let's see.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay. Happy New Year, everyone. To all the Chinese listeners.
Okay.
Okay, never mind.
Hi Wendy. Hello.
Hello.
If you can hear us, please just help us do a like so that we know, right, or leave us a comment, right. Also, please do help us like and subscribe, like and share. I mean, so that more people can join us in this session. All right. Please bear with us. While I start my watch party. Hold on.
Okay, yeah, I see people are liking. Means, I guess it's working. Somehow on our side it says zero viewers. But I saw a like. Okay, never mind. Let's get started.
Yes. Okay, so very happy new year to everyone. Thank you for joining us today, even though it's still
Everyone's still in the Chinese New Year mood.
yeah, everyone's still in the Chinese New Year mode. So right, let's get on to it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so today we are talking about high yielding properties, but before we go into the topic at hand, our usual practice is to talk about what has happened in the last month since we last met.
So good news to everyone. No cooling measures were announced yesterday. I think there was quite a lot of anticipation that we might be meeting with another cooling measure during the budget that was being announced yesterday. So yeah, good news to all of us for now. No cooling measures yet, but we don't think that we're completely out of the dangerous zone yet, because traditionally, if you realize, the cooling measures are not introduced during the budget, and they can actually be introduced at any time throughout the year. The last time was like on July 5th. So the next point that we'll be looking at would be what are the triggers that we would be expecting, that will result in a cooling measure being implemented by the government. So, for example, a very high land bid, I think we talked about this before, and the upcoming Ang-Mo-Kio government land sales site has been launched, and that result will be closely monitored on whether we have another cooling measure coming up. Another thing that we'll be looking at would be the sales of another new launch, and the upcoming new launch would be the one at Midtown Modern. So again, if the results of this launch happens very well, 90% sold rate, that kind of thing, we can expect cooling measures to then come in. As a matter of fact, we think that probably MAS already, in their back pocket, they have already planned out what are the next cooling measure to implement. They're just waiting for the trigger points to happen, and for the instructions to come and implement it. So on the other news front, since we last did our Facebook Live, pretty much the same thing centered around the cooling measures. Nothing really interesting came up yet. So if anyone has any article that you have questions or you want to discuss, you can share it with us in the Q&A, or I'll put the link in and we can discuss it in the Q&A later on.
Yeah, I'll just comment it in the comment box lah, right? Or if you have questions with regards to the cooling measures, right? Just let us know, right? Later we discuss during the Q&A session. All right, so let's come to what we'll be discussing today,
Topic,
right? High yielding properties, right? So today talking about rental properties, which is something that we don't usually talk about And also something that has been, if I might say, not so much in the limelight recently, because everybody is now very focused on capital appreciation, right? But last time, investors were always very obsessed with high yielding properties, and we still get questions and inquiries with regards to high rental, high yielding properties.
Passive income.
Yes, right. Focus on passive income
Yeah.
a lot, right? So which is why we decided to do a session like that today, right? There are still investors out there looking for passive income properties for a couple of reasons, right? Some reasons like they don't have sufficient runway to flip so many times anymore, so they just want to buy one and then earn them passive income for retirement. Okay, so what are we going to discuss today with regards to high yielding properties, right? We want to redefine rental yields, because we do not feel the traditional way of evaluating rental yield it's fair, right? So we're going to propose another way to evaluate rental yield, redefine rental yield, right? We're also going to talk about some common mistakes made by investors, right? Even seasoned investors, right? Things that they miss out on when they evaluate rental properties. Number three, right? We will be combining our redefined rental yield, common mistakes, things that people miss out into sort of our rental property framework that we will share with you guys, and then utilizing that framework to analyze some case studies and some examples. Okay, we will also open it up to anyone, all of you who are joining us here tonight, to throw in some examples, right? Something that you would like us to evaluate using our rental property framework. So at any point in time, just drop down what you are interested in, right? Some of the properties that you have questions about, and we will answer them during the Q&A, okay? And right, a bonus, it's a contrarian view on a high yielding rental property, in our opinion lah. Right, so we are going to share some bonus tips later on as well. So stick with us till the end, right? It's probably only going to take about half an hour. Okay, so first up, right, rental yield. So what is rental yield? So the traditional way of calculating rental yield, you take the rental you'll collect per month times 12 months, right, which is a year, and divide it by the purchase price. Okay, so that will give you rental yield. So example, right, if you're going to collect $3,000 a month, times that by 12, and the property costs $1 million, right, that will give you a 3.6% rental yield. Okay, but the problem with rental yield, right, there's a couple of problems with rental yield, right? The number one first problem is that we personally feel just simply using this formula to compare different properties, right, it does not give you a apple to apple comparison, because they miss out things like maintenance fees, right? Number two, they miss out things like the renovation cost required to get that property up to a
tenantable
condition,
yeah,
right, or to achieve good rental. And also number two, when you buy a unit, right, so today you want to buy a rental unit, then you go and see a unit, and then the agent, right, the seller tells you, hey, it's a high yielding, that's high rental yield. Okay, but actually, right, we have put the example over there. You see, the seller may be telling you that this unit is a 4% rental yield. So how is that 4% derived? You take the rental, right, let's say 40,000 over a year, divided by the seller's purchase price, which is $1 million, and that gives you 4% rental yield. But as a buyer, because you're not going to be paying $1 million, right, the seller would also want to make a profit, so he's going to sell you at, let's say, 1.2 million. So as a buyer, your rental yield today, after you buy it, will drop, right? Because you're going to take 40,000, because your rental will probably be the same, divided by your purchase price, which is 1.2 million, and that will be 3.3% rental yield. Okay, so I think the more seasoned guys may know this, right? But for those of you who are fresh to the game of buying a rental property, you do want to consider to take the rental divided by what you're actually paying, and not what the seller
agent
paid.
quotes you. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So common mistakes. First one is that some people when they look into for a rental unit for long term, they say I don't want to ever sell this property because it's giving me passive income. But you have to look at it. Whether it is okay is whether it is perfectly okay for you not to sell the property, and because there might be reasons whereby you may then 10 years 20 years later consider selling the property. So for example, the second point would be that there are problems with the rental unit that comes with age. So while buying that unit at the start may seem very good and very ideal, but when it's 10 years later, 20 years later, because the property ages, your rental will drop, which is why it is important to consider the exit strategy for rental properties. Also, when properties age, the maintenance fees goes up and the rental will come down. And also, if you are a high income earner, or for example, you bought this property when you're young, but as you age, your income increases with you, and then it may not be as worth it anymore, because when you're a high income earner, your income tax is high. So you do collect rental, but that rental is being taxed at a very high personal tax rate. So all these are reasons why you may want to consider letting go of the property, considering the exit strategy, because it's just not it just does not make as much financial sense to you anymore. So another thing that some buyers are not aware of, and this is more so for the properties that are older, is that the development may not have sufficient funds in their sinking fund, and should there be a need for a major renovation for the common property, for example your water tank or your lifts, you have a possibility of having been asked by the management, all as owners, to fork out a significant sum to replace these items. So while you are a retiree happy to collect your passive income of $1,000-$2,000 a month, but when the management suddenly comes to you and say in 6 months time we're going to have to collect $20,000 from everybody to replace the lift, then that might not be so easily acceptable to you as a retiree, because you don't have any other income besides your rental income, right? And okay, the last common mistake is negative cash flow. Everyone has the idea that if there is negative cash flow on a monthly basis, that means losing money. But you have to think about the monthly installment and what are the different parts that make up the monthly installment. And we must remember, monthly installment equals the principal repayment, which is paying off the loan plus the interest. So for example, if you have a monthly installment of $4,000, your example principal repayment will be $2,000 and the interest will be $3,000. Your rental is only $3,000, so you have a negative cash flow of $1,000 each month. But actually you're still better off, because $2,000 goes into paying the interest and $1,000 goes into paying off the principal, which you will get back at the end when you sell it. So you can think of rental assets as a savings scheme, as long as the rental amount is higher than your interest. So while it is good to buy high yielding rental properties, it is still important to think of the exit strategy, because of the few points that we have mentioned earlier.
So what do we suggest? It's to really make the comparison and the basis of comparisons more robust, so that you can compare all the properties on a more apple to apple basis lah. So we use a term, right? We try to make it simple, like net yield, right? So how do you calculate net yield? You take your monthly rent, you minus the maintenance cost, because a maintenance cost for a CCR property, right, which can get higher rental, but the maintenance can easily be double of that of a OCR property. You can be looking at $200 versus $400, right? So add that maintenance fee in, okay? Times 12 months, right? So then divided by the purchase price plus the reno required. And when I say this reno required, I'm just going to jump to the last point. So there are some things that you can do to a property to increase the rental yield of the property, right? So do put all of these considerations, right, into your price, okay, and then compare them on an apple to apple basis, right? Point two, do your rental due diligence. Okay, we're going to share with you later how do you do proper rental due diligence, right? Most people will just see what are the other transacted rentals in the area, right? We will share with you how to do a proper one. Then point three, exit strategy. Don't worry, we will also in our case studies and examples show you how to look at something like that, right? The exit strategy. Okay, so how do you do rental due diligence, right? I just summarize quickly. You compare the amount of transactions, actual transactions, right, in the vicinity done, right, versus the amount of listings available on Property Guru, right? Don't worry, later we'll share that in greater detail in our example, right? For exit strategy, what are some of the things that you can do? Ask yourself, right, who will buy this property from me in the future? You couple that with point two. Am I buying into an investor-centric stack? Right, so when we say stack, right, it's level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5. As a matter of fact, right, you can even look at it this way. Am I buying into an investor-centric development versus an owner-centric development or stack? We have shared this in great detail in our previous videos, right? Videos like, which are some of the videos that we shared?
I think
that we talk about this one.
Talk about it here and there.
Yeah, we talk about it here and there, but never mind. If you're not sure, right, can put up the question in the comments, right? We can go through in detail in the Q&A session later. So let's move on to the case studies and examples. Okay, so we start off with what is perhaps the talk of the town, right, in the last month or so, the reef at King's Dock. So we are looking at, right, balance units, 2 bedroom, 2 bathroom. You can get it at about 1.5 million. The maintenance fee is $450. The rental expected to get about 4,500. Because this is a new launch, you don't expect to have to pump in a lot in terms of renovation, right? So plug that into our formula, the net rental yield. We are looking at about 3.2%, which is quite good in our considerations, right? If you look at our net yield formula, anywhere above 3 is good, above 4 is very, very good. Okay. So what are some of the possible improvements that can come to the rental, right? Of course, what everybody is buying into the Greater Southern Waterfront with the influx of additional tenants into the area. But that said, the last point, exit strategy, that is where we have some concerns about, right? What are some of the concerns? Before we go into that, right, I want to talk about how do we do the rental due diligence properly, right? So, I mean, how we get 4,500, very simple. I think most of us will know, right? You're just going to look at some of the past transacted prices over in the nearby developments like Reflections or Corals, okay? But what we look at also, right, 58 listings available. I just put this up last night in the vicinity around the reef, okay? 58 2 bedrooms available. Then we also pull out what is the absorption rate of those units available. So I pull out the data for the developments in that area. So we have 145 2 bedrooms being rented out over the last 6 months. So that averages out to about 24 2 bedrooms being rented per month, right? So you look at the two figures, right? 58 over 24, right? So that should give you about 2 right?
This is only for 2 bedrooms?
Yes, only for 2 bedrooms. So that is the rental due Diligence, okay? Later we'll give you a comparison so that you know how the numbers, if you do compare it, okay? Exit strategy, okay?
This is where we got concerned.
Yeah, this is where we have some concerns. So you look at this, we in that area, they average about 9 2-bedrooms sold over 6 months, which work out to be about 1.5 units a month. But how many listings available? We have about 134 2-bedrooms for sale in that vicinity, and then being only able to sell 1 unit every month, 1.5 units every month. It's going to take a long time to move the resale units in that vicinity. So something to take a look at, okay, in terms of the exit strategy. Another cause of concern would be the transactions in that area. Over at Corals, right? Total of 6 transactions, 5 lose money. Over at Reflections, we see 22 profitable with 129 unprofitable. So you add these 2 points together, it's going to take me a very long time to sell, right? Because 128 units by average 2 units sold per month. And when I do sell it, there's a good chance.
We're not sure whether you'll make or lose.
Yeah, but judging from the data, there's a good chance you will lose. So you got to, think about it. Right, only Caribbean seems to be performing better, but they were launched close to 20 years back at a really, really cheap PSF. So which is why it's important to have a really good holding period as well, lah. Okay, so next point, right, where it gets a bit more interesting, the contrarian view to it, right? So for the same price that you are paying for a unit like a 2-bedder at the Reef, okay, you can get a unit at the OCR that is bigger, okay, while the OCR probably wouldn't give you as good a rental yield, right? But it may offer a better exit, right? We're going to share an example later on. Also, right, it's a very popular concept nowadays, this concept called co-living. It will help you push up your rental yield as you go, right? We will share with you more later on.
So what can you get in the OCR? Comparing a new launch, the Reef is a new launch, so we're looking at Treasure 3-bedroom as the comparison for the OCR. You can get a 3-bedroom premium at about 1.4 million. So you see maintenance here are a lot cheaper, more than 50% cheaper than the Reef at $200. So expected rental is about $3,500. Your net rental would be about 2.8%. So while that is lower than what we expect for at the Reef, there are possible improvements. For example, you can do it as a room rental, or the co-living, creating one more room, to increase or improve your rental yield, and also with in a few years time when COVID's over and the aviation industry recovers, we believe that the rental market in Tampines will also improve. And when we then think about the exit, we will see that in the next few slides. So for the rental due diligence, around the Simei area, although it's called Treasure Tampines, it's nearer to Simei MRT, there are only 18 2-bedroom units available for rent at this point of time. And if you look at the rental volume in the past 6 months, we actually have an average of 56 units being rented out each month. Okay, and if you were to consider the exit strategy, it is 6.5 units each month compared to 1.5 at the Reef. So I believe you have a lot more confidence in moving your unit. And then let's take a look at the profits that these owners in Simei have. Okay, so you have 278 3-bedroom units for sale in Simei. But look at the transactions. At My Manhattan, you have 34 profitable transactions and only 4 unprofitable transactions. Probably opposite of result that you got at, for example, Reflections. And at Double Bay, 110 profitable transactions and only 15 unprofitable transactions. So I think being in the OCR, where it's more owner occupied, a more heartlander area, there is more confidence in having a proper exit strategy, although you may not get as high a rental yield. Okay.
So right, I hope you guys can understand where we are coming from. So we insert more facets to this whole analysis of buying high yielding properties lah, so that I think you can look at it as a more holistic point of view, right? So some of our recommendations that we have, right, for the different budgets of investors, right? We're gonna start off with the cheapest one, okay? Guillemard Suites, right? So Guillemard Suites, as the name suggests, is located in Guillemard Road, right? So for $750,000, you get a freehold property. It is marketed as a 1+ study, but if you can follow me, this is very interesting because the 1+ study actually has two. Oops. Sorry about that. Okay, I'll just use the mouse. Okay, it has 2 bathrooms. So when you have 2 bathrooms, okay, one of the things that you can do is to close off the living room to create another bedroom, and hence allowing you to rent out this unit either as a 2-bedder or 2 1-bedroom common rooms lah for rent. And with that, right, you can easily achieve above 4% net rental yield, our formula net rental yield. So in terms of the exit strategy, right, a very affordable unit like that, next time you can sell very easily, either to investors looking to buy their second property, right, or perhaps first timers looking to for a affordable unit just to kickstart their property journey.
Yeah, so at the next budget, pushing it up to under $1.2 million, we have Icon at Pasir Panjang, where you can get a 2-bed, 2-bath at 1.08 million.
Freehold also.
Oh yes, freehold also. And also just slightly down, the road from the reef, we have a potential to improve it to almost 4% also. Looking at the layout, you have the potential again to create the 3rd bedroom in the living room, and yeah, so you will have 2 common rooms and 1 master room. And if you do that, you can improve the rental to almost 4% again. Exit strategy similarly would be a great starter home, because the budget at 1.08 million is fantastic, especially for freehold lovers. And there is still possibility to also sell to second property buyers because your budget is still at about 1 million. Okay.
So for under 1.5 million, we head over to Thomson Balestier area, Gaia. Okay, so it's asking at 1.39 million. So similarly, a freehold property. Okay, so same thing, right? For this unit, you can look to portion of the living room, and with that, you essentially get 1, 2, 3, 4 bedrooms, all of which, right, if you want to maximize your rental yield, you can do room rentals, right? So yeah, this is something maybe we never talk about. Yeah, a lot of owners, they will be thinking, oh my goodness, I have to go and manage every single one of them. So of course, you can find agents that will do that, right, handle all of that for you. We do handle that for our clients that purchase those properties through us lah. So exit strategy for a unit like that, right? Similarly, this unit at Gaia is a really good size, 900 over square feet. So it's an excellent unit that can cater to either first timers, so still at a very good price quantum, first timers or upgraders as well. It's located in the RCR.
So last one that we have is under 2 million. So this one has a slightly higher budget. It's a Gem Residences. It's called Gem Residences 3-bedroom trios. Essentially, it's a triple key. Not something that a lot of people are aware about. A lot of people are familiar with the concept of dual key, but triple key means, one unit that leads you into 3 individual studios. So at the purchase price of 1.75 million for this unit, you can get about a net rental yield of 3%, which is really quite good. Yeah, so what would your exit strategy be? So with a higher number of singles nowadays or retirees, it would be a very ideal property for you to take up one of the rooms and to be able to rent out the other 2 rooms to supplement you in terms of your passive income, or just to subsidize your mortgage if you are a single buyer looking to start your property journey. And because there are 3 individual studios with their own toilet, you are able to charge a higher rent. The net rental that we get for each of the studios here is about $1,500 or more. So what is really exciting also about Gem Residences is because it's located in Toa Payoh, which traditionally has been very strong in PSF appreciation. So the exit strategy for a unit like a triple key may not be really to sell it, because this triple key concept is really rare. URA hasn't clamped down on it yet, but
it has clamped down on it, which is why you don't see
correct. You don't
anymore.
see it anymore. Yeah, so it's hard to find units like this. You may not want to let go of a unit like that should you be able to purchase one, because the rental yield is fantastic. Yeah, so what you can use in terms of exit strategy is because the PSF appreciates, you can go to the bank and do gearing to pull out the equity, because the price has appreciated overall. So for this is a little bit more complicated, and it really depends on you as an individual whether you are able to do this method or not. So do get in touch with us if you're keen to find out more about this method.
Right. So before we move on to the conclusions, a unit like that would be very ideal for couples, families looking to do the rent to rent concept, right? So for example, right, you have a certain budget, but you need a lot of space, right? So take a look at this Gem triple key. The rental you can collect is close to $4,500, right? At 1.75 million. A rental for a landed property, right? You can actually get a corner terrace for about $4,000 thereabouts, right? But for 1.75 million, you will never be able to buy a corner terrace. So this rent-to-rent concept is something that is really catching on nowadays, and if it's that something that you are interested in, a unit like that would be very good, because having 3 different rooms will lower the risk of your cash flow or your rentals going to zero, because they are all
different timings.
They are all at different timings, and if you are clever enough, you can stagger the rentals to end at different times. Yeah, so really something to think about, something very interesting and very rare. It is for sale, right? Actually, all the recommendations are for sale lah. So if any one of that interests you guys, do get in touch with us. And we can share more with you. So in conclusion, okay, so make sure to compare the different properties on an apple-to-apple basis, because online they always have this list of high-yielding properties, but they are not compared on an apple-to-apple basis, right? The rental yield really is too simple lah for our liking, right? Think about your exit strategies, right? Exit strategies may not extend to selling, right? Exit strategies also can include things like method D and gearing, right? My last point, later I touch on that. Consider contrarian types of investments, right? High yielding properties, rental properties in the OCR, right? Albeit not as fancy
not
as
the typical kind of rental properties people think about,
right? Whereby you want to be near the CBD, things like that. But they do offer a lot better exit strategies, right? Exit options, right? Go and learn about co-living, right? If that's something that you are interested in, you can get in touch with us. as well. We can share that in greater detail. So for those of you who are interested to learn more, right, or those of you who are really interested in buying a high yielding property, maybe as your second property, right, what we offer to our clients, right, is services like, how to compare this type of investment across different asset classes. Number two, right, how does a high yielding property fall into your long-term property plan, right? How you can potentially flip it, things like that. How do you reconcile rental yield versus capital appreciation, which brings us to point three, right? How do you weigh out new launch versus resale, right? And point four, right, the other creative means to maximize high yielding properties, things like method D, things like gearing, basically alternatives to selling the property, right? So with that, we've come to the end of our presentation. We have quite
Facebook Live.
Oh, Facebook Live. Yeah, it is a PowerPoint presentation. Right, we have quite a fair number of people joining us tonight, right? Above 20 of you. So thank you guys all for joining us. We can entertain questions now, right? So if any of you are looking at a certain property for to buy for rental, right, you can drop us a comment, right? We are happy to run it through our framework together in this live situation, right? Thanks, Alvin, for joining us. Hi, Jacqueline. Jacqueline, your friend, right?
No.
Oh, no, huh? Oh, okay. Hi,
I don't
Edmund.
know.
Right. Jia Jie. Jonathan, right? So, right, we're gonna stay on for another 30 seconds or so, right, to entertain any questions that you guys might have, right? Or, okay, since you guys are with us, if you have a suggestion on what you want us to do a Facebook Live on, right, can also put it down into the comments lah.
Yeah, or if you don't feel so comfortable about discussing this on a public space, you can get in touch with us privately also.
Yep.
So if there are no questions, yeah, I think we can end.
Yes, so thank you guys so much, right? We hope you guys continue to enjoy the Chinese New Year festivities, right? So we'll see you in a month's time. Have not yet decided on the topic, so feel free to send us your suggestions, right? We'll see you guys next month. Bye-bye.
Bye.